Hey, Inspectz Jacksonville, we're at episode number 3. I know you guys have been waiting for another episode, and Markus here is here to help me today. This is Markus Paridone. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for about 20 years, and we are in search of a home inspector today. Markus, tell us, what's the name of your company?
I'm Inspectz Jax. We do home inspections in Duval, Clay, St. Johns County, Northeast Florida.
Right on. Now, how long have you been in business?
We've been in business for right at 7 years.
Okay, nice.
So retired from the military.
Yep.
And in the military, what did we do? We inspected soldiers, uniforms, vehicles, and felt like this was the perfect segue.
Well, thank you for your service. And tell us a few minutes about what you did in the military. I know, but just tell the people here what your rank was and kind of what you did.
Yeah, I retired Army First Sergeant in last few years served with the Florida Army National Guard.
Right.
Prior to that, the U.S. Army. Supervised a lot of recruiters, and got 2 boys that are currently serving.
That's right.
In the Army now.
That's awesome. That's excellent. So I've got a house here today. You're going to walk us through a couple things. It's not going to be a full inspection because we're not doing it for a homeowner or anything, but you'll be able to give maybe first-time buyers or just somebody looking to buy a house some things that they need to look for. Tell us kind of what we might be doing today.
Absolutely. I think the most important thing we can remember, Dan, is no matter how what level of home inspection you require, a home inspector in the state of Florida is only allowed to provide a visual only inspection, meaning non-invasive. We're not going to move insulation. We're not going to pull apart components such as the air conditioner or electrical system. We're strictly going to look at it and make sure it passes the eye test.
Gotcha.
So in doing that, when you're starting that initial buy as a home buyer, or even a seller, possibly a seller, what I like to do is tell people, hey, kind of do your own 4-point inspection. Right. Meaning you take a look at first the exterior and roof of the property. Make a lap around the property. You're looking for wood rot, anything like that would cause problems down the road. Next, you want to move to, and on that exterior, if comfortable, climb up to the edge of the roof. If not comfortable, wait on a professional for that part. A lot of those things can be looked at online. You can take a look at when was the permit pulled on the roof, how old is the roof. All of that is in any of the 3 counties I mentioned, kept online and easily accessible. Right. Okay. So once you do that, we'll make a lap around the property, and we'll kind of be looking for that wood rot, looking for cracked brick, any kind of structural issues. A lot of the homes in Jacksonville, unless you're building it or buying in one of the newer neighborhoods, have been in existence for 40, 50 years. Right. You're going to find a moderate cracking, and that's almost acceptable.
Sure, everything's got to settle a little bit, right?
We want to seal those cracks up, but we have to have an realistic expectation.
Gotcha.
Number one, construction is never perfect.
Yeah.
No matter brand new or old, it will never be perfect. And number 2, can we seal? Can we make sure it's watertight? Right. Can we ensure more? In this case, I believe the property is probably from 1960. Okay. It's held up a long time. Right. There's no expectation that it's going to crumble in the next 2 weeks.
Sure.
So, grade the house accordingly.
Right. Let's go. You want to start in front of the house?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I know.
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
What I'd like to do, Dan, right in the beginning, is orientate myself to the house.
Okay.
So this is a south-facing home.
Okay.
I pull up my iPhone will do everything.
Okay. All right.
So I pull up my iPhone.
So you got an app on there that's got a compass
on it, and I'm gonna figure out which way am I looking. I want to know. Okay. Number 1, in your report, I'm going to identify everything by the way that the property is facing. Are we on the south side, which we happen to be on the south side.
Now, is there a positive to which side the house might be located on at all?
Not in our culture. Not
as far as
Western culture, not so much, but in other cultures,
true.
It is very
feng shui. It might be one direction or instead of another. Yeah. Right on.
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get an eyeball test of, hey, we've got a chimney here. We've got some brick. We've got
wood siding there.
And possibly some vinyl siding, it looks like.
Right.
And so I'm kind of taking in what do we have going on.
And you can tell just by visually, the roof's obviously not new at all.
Right. And that's a 3-tab shingle roof. 3-tab shingle roof's going to give you usually about 20 years of life expectancy.
Right.
Hate to use that life expectancy because everything plays into it. How much sun is it getting on it to cook off that morning dew and not allow what happens is the morning dew dries out. Microbial fungus will grow, and then a good hard rain will pull that granule away. So everything plays into how that roof's life is going to last.
Gotcha.
And from one property to the next, it can be completely different. But expectations would be at least 20 years on a 3-tab shingle. And that's where, if you're not comfortable looking at crawling up to the edge, or you don't have a ladder handy, you can easily look at the style roof, 3-tab, go online to the Duval County permit site and
pull up when
was it put on, and then kind of subtract out, hey, this is roughly the life expectancy I should at least hope to get out of the roof.
Right. Okay, you want to go up on the roof?
Yeah, I think we will. That'll be the next place.
All right, let's go. There you go.
That's probably much safer here.
Yeah.
That
awesome. Now, what does this right here indicate? Is this something?
A little bit of pooling.
Yeah.
So, just about very seldom are you going to find a roof.
Right.
You're not going to see some pooling.
Yeah. Now, this is a different type of roof.
This is a modified bitumen.
Okay.
Same life expectancy, right at 20 years on the modified bitumen. Usually put on flat surfaces.
Right. Which this is just the garage patio, basically, area. Okay.
And looking at the roof, looks like everything's sealed up nice. I would probably estimate this roof, and it's always fun in my mind. I play estimator,
right?
And when I get to the permit, I'm usually within a couple of years, but I would say this roof's probably 10 to 15 years, somewhere in that range, probably real close to 15.
Right. So if you were buying this house,
I would,
even though it might have 5 years worth of life left on it, insurance might make you replace it. Is that right?
Very well. Florida insurance is definitely going to look at that, and usually they're going to require 5 years of life.
Okay.
But many of the carriers in Florida right now are going to push for it to be a little.
Yeah, like 10 or more or something, right? Okay. Awesome.
While I'm on the roof, I'm also kind of checking out the gutters. Hey, what do we have going on in there? Gutters in Florida, there's probably not another item we put on our properties that are more important than a gutter. You want to keep water pushed away from the dwelling. And
I see a lot of houses, especially new houses, that don't have any gutters on them.
So
you're saying that's a bad idea?
Horrible idea. I don't know why they do it. The savings, $1,500 roughly, usually to put gutters on a property. Maybe a little more depending on vendor, but it's there's nothing more important we can do. Get water away from our properties.
Gotcha.
And that's what gutters do.
These look fairly clean, but they got a little bit of a little bit.
And straw, you make that a couple times a year. You make the trip around on the ladder and pull that stuff out.
Right.
All right, Dan. So we're going to look at the
base
pump of the AC system.
Okay.
And the first thing I like to do is go ahead and put a level on it. Let's make sure it's level. And this heat pump is not necessarily as level as we'd like it.
Right.
A lot of the older HVAC guys were taught to put these things at a lean, that they would drain better. Manufacturer recommends that heat pumps be level.
Okay.
What happens is the oils in it can spin to one side, causing motors to burn out quicker than they should. So we always recommend level. Next thing we're going to look at after.
So if you're coming in to replace this, you might have to come in and do some type of leveling, or does the unit itself have a leveling mechanism?
So actually, there's tie downs.
Okay.
That usually you can level this with.
Okay. So, gotcha.
Right now, that's one of the things I'm noticing is it's not strapped down to the property. We want it strapped to the concrete. Gotcha. They may put a pad under it, and then the pad with the straps to get this thing level.
Yeah, because you could always raise it. It wouldn't hurt it to raise it any. It might even be better.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Next thing I'm going to check out is the Freon line. That copper line that runs through there should be completely.
Let's walk around here. I'm going to get the camera in here so we can
insulated.
Let's see.
You can see that insulation is starting to wear off, and you can see some of the copper line. We'd want to get that Freon insulate, or that copper line insulation replaced.
Oh yeah, I see that.
So that's super important.
Sure you can see that.
It's a little chilly today, so we may not run the AC.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a this isn't a full inspection for you. We're just going over a few things.
Right. But those are the quick things that I like to take a look at. Is it level, number one? Number two, do we have some insulation on our Freon line?
Awesome.
All right.
All right, let's get ready to go in the house. I noticed you brought a couple of things with you that you take in the house.
Yeah, so the most important thing I brought.
Yeah, you were showing me those. I think they're cool, man. I might have to look into getting some of those for my real estate photography.
It means the world to people that you are doing all you can to protect it.
Yeah, I usually just kick the shoes off, but that looks like a much better option.
Yeah, so there, like we talked a little bit in the front of the property about cultural awareness. There are cultures that even with my shoe covers are not as happy as they'd be if I just took the shoes off.
Yep.
But it's a little difficult to go into the attic and climb ladders with the shoes off. So I try to explain to everybody, hey, this is
as far as safety wise.
This is my best option. These are tidy track covers.
Well, and I also got to imagine, in case you got something electrical, having some type of rubber sole shoes gives you some
rubber sole shoes, very important. Yeah. And not doing a commercial for tidy tracks here, but really have been a lifesaver. I was buying the cloth covers.
Yeah.
10 a week.
Well, I have such big feet. I have a hard time getting those things over my feet.
They custom make these, cut them, extend them.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So yeah, they're a great option. And we'll take my thermal image in. I like to use it for a couple of different things. And I'm going to take my drill and we're going to pull that electrical panel.
Okay, great. Let's go in the house. Now, Marcus, we walked into the kitchen. Do you have a certain spot that you like to start with, or does it matter?
I do have a certain spot, and it is right here in the kitchen.
Oh, perfect.
So that is always where I start my inspection. And what I do is I move. I do every inspection the same.
Okay.
None of them ever look any different. Start in the kitchen. Then I move counterclockwise around the outside of the property.
Okay.
Until I finish the specific room. Then I'll do the ceiling in that room and the floor in that room. But always travel on the outside of the property. I want to, during a full home inspection, what I want to do is I turn on my stopwatch and I really try to be mindful that I've run this water 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay. Now, what does that do?
It's going to identify any leaks for me.
Okay.
So once that water has run 3 to 5 minutes, I'm going to.
Now you do that in every sink in the house?
Every sink in the house.
Okay.
A lot of times what I'll do is the minute I walk into the room, I'll turn the water on.
Right. Get that clock going.
Quick leak.
Right.
If I don't see one right away, I'll go ahead and let things keep running. About a minute in, minute and a half in, I'll switch over. The whole time I'm filling the tea. Hey, I always run the hot water first. I want to check that we've got good hot water.
Gotcha.
I use my thermal as a thermal imaging as my thermometer.
Okay.
So once we get booted up here, properties run now minute and a half. I'll let that boot up. We are getting some hot water. I'm going to test, make sure we've got sprayer water going on. Make note of a couple.
What about the dishwasher, Marcus? Is that something you check at all?
I'm gonna run each appliance in the property. Turn everything on.
Okay.
Make sure they perform as they should.
Okay.
And make note if they do not.
Gotcha.
I'm going to scan under looking for any leaks.
Okay.
If that water's run, I'm looking to see, hey, do we have any type issue where we got water intrusion? State of Florida, mold is always a factor in every property because our humidity levels are perfect to grow mold.
Right.
So I come over here, we're at 112 degrees.
Okay. Is that about
that? While that's a good temperature, we'd like to see that temperature up a little closer to 120.
Okay.
It ran about 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
Hot for a majority of that time.
Okay.
But we'd like to see that water temperature. I would recommend in the report, let's adjust that thermostat up to about 120 degrees. Yeah, 120 degrees limits Legionnaire's disease forming in the tank, causing non-potable water. You don't want to have any kind of contaminants in your water.
Good to know.
All right. So
all right,
here and
let me grab my phone right quick. Left it outside. Want to make sure everything's still recording. Yeah, it is.
I would Dan say on a full home inspection, we talked about things being a little different. But when you're just traveling the property on that initial look, maybe before you've considered a home inspection, look at things like cracks in your grout. Those are all things that's routine maintenance that's just going to need to be performed.
Awesome.
So Dan, I certainly do not expect or would not want anybody that doesn't work regularly with electrical to ever consider taking off a panel. Nothing good can come from that. You can open up the breaker box. This is a sub panel. The main panel is in the little courtyard in the middle of the property.
Okay, here, I'll hold it.
And so when we move in here, we're looking to make sure that all of the breaker slots are full. From time to time you'll find breakers have been removed.
Okay.
Easy access for a kid to stick his fingers in, or a car in, or a car, and just not what you want to do. But since I go into these pretty regular, I'm going to go ahead and pull this panel, and we're going to take a look at what kind of wire.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I actually take these off. in a kind of systematic approach. I take the tops and bottom off, and then so I can lean across it and not have it fall.
Oh, sure.
Me.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to see where copper wire. That's important.
Okay.
Up until about 1973, 68 to 73, find a lot of properties with aluminum wiring.
Okay.
And that's
not good.
We found it not to be the industry found it not to be a safe wiring solution, and have changed that. Looking to make sure you're grounded properly, making sure you've got your grounding wire, making sure that everything's running. I have in my mind there is a barrier. Hands never go past the barrier.
Yeah, sure.
Very, very important. But everything is in good order in here. Nice, clean panel.
Nice.
Certainly not original to the property, so I would be looking online to see if there was a permit pulled for this panel.
Maybe hold it for you.
No, Dan, believe it or not,
I thought you got it.
It's the one thing. It's like putting a puzzle in.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks the piece goes a little differently, and you'll get a little push one way or the other, and then things won't line up.
Right.
So it is a one-man job.
Gotcha. I'm assuming this was probably part of the old electrical system here.
It was.
It's got a big sign on it that says not in use.
Yeah, it's a fuse box.
Okay.
And, they're not running wire to it anymore.
Gotcha.
Sometimes if I'll see where they'll write those up because they're still in place.
Right.
I always say best to get it removed because unknown inspectors have come in and wrote those up. And
now, what about, since we're on electrical, what about the outlets? Because I know on older homes, sometimes you get to where they weren't grounded at some certain time, and you can have outlets.
Should show that outlet right there, Dan. That's a 2-pronged outlet.
Oh, yeah, right there.
It's not wrong.
Okay.
It's not to the standards that we use today.
Uh-huh.
And I would make note of that in the inspection.
Right.
But it's only going to allow a receptacle plug into it that
as a
two-prong, which would be proper for it.
Right.
So
okay.
Doesn't make it necessarily wrong, but a lot of devices won't sync up with it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Then we always recommend an electrician change those.
Sure.
When we travel the property, Dan, we're going room to room. I'm also looking, and this is part of the dwelling. I look at it on the outside, but I'm looking at it from the inside as well. As what do those windows look like? Are these windows, are we fogged anywhere? I'm not seeing any fogged windows. Do we have double pane windows that would fog? Or are we dealing with single pane? Are we looking at aluminum windows? Windows on a property, one of the most expensive. That's a double pane aluminum window.
It looks like either it's dirty or it might be getting a little bit of fog.
So I think we actually show some dirt on this side.
Yes.
But I think we're fogged on that side.
Yeah, maybe. Looks like it. So that might be with something the homeowner would want to replace, because that means the seal's going bad. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Thermal integrity, and so the efficiency of that window has been removed.
So if you come on a cold day or a hot day and flash that with your thermal, you'd probably see a different result here than, say, the other 3 panels.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. That sometimes visually that's good to see, because then somebody can really see, like, oh wow, there's a lot of cold or there's a lot of heat coming through that one panel, and wondering why this room's so hot all the time and a little cold.
Exactly. We get that question all the time.
Yeah. All right, let's go see some more.
I think the
Anything else?
here.
Yeah.
Well, you want to go to the well, we could all start in the bathroom. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Couple of things I like to do, Dan, is real quick. I'm looking. We got copper wire, copper plumbing running through, feeding the commode.
Yep.
And I put my knee next to it. It's about as simple as it gets, and I give it a nudge. Are we loose there? Because that's going to tell me a lot of stuff about
that one looks pretty solid.
Sealed. Yeah, that's sealed up nice and solid. Just like in the kitchen, I would run this for 3 minutes.
Yep.
And then I'm checking to see, number one, have we had water damage in the past? And it looks like over the last probably 50 years, at some point or another, they've had some light water damage.
Right.
But once I run it 3 minutes, I'll be able to annotate, note if it's currently leaking today.
Sure. Now, is there anything you do with the shower?
In the shower, I'm gonna look, number one, for cracks in the grout. We want to seal cracks. That's a
Right.
wonderful way to grow mold is let water behind a dark shower tile. So we want to seal all the cracks, and then we're going to just run that shower for about 3 to 5 minutes and make sure that we're draining good. In the older homes, you have to really be careful. Like we talked about earlier, non-invasive home inspection, I'm not going to run anything into the pipes. We recommend a couple of companies that do that.
Yeah.
But you want to know that you're draining well.
Right.
Because the cast iron that was in this home when it was built, it's still present, has certainly begun to break down.
Right.
So you want to make sure that we're draining good.
So is that a situation where you run in the sink, you're flushing the commode, you're putting water in the tub, and then let it all maybe at one time?
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm giving 3 minutes. I'm running a dishwasher.
So if you're doing all these things at the same time, if there's some kind of blockage by shooting a bunch of stuff through it all at the same time,
it's going to identify if there's an issue.
Right, rather than just running a sink or just running a shower by itself.
No, I want to get everything going. I'm going to flush that commode at least 3 times.
Yeah.
If there's another bathroom, I'm going to walk to that bathroom, flush that one a couple of times. I want to get as much water pushed through as I can. If it's going to break, let's let it break before the buyer buys it.
Yeah, that's good.
Identify any issues that may be there.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, so what do you think about this room here? So we got the hot water heater over here. Obviously, this is their laundry room and HVAC room all in one.
Right. Yeah. So kind of a mechanical laundry room type situation. And first thing I'm going to do is ask the realtor or the buyers if the washer and dryer are conveying with the sale of the property. And if they are, I'm going to go ahead and run it and push some water through.
Sure.
More water through the drain. I'm going to come over to the water heater.
Okay.
Every water heater in existence, probably as far I've found them. Water heaters from 1965 in properties operate.
Oh, yeah?
And they had dates on them. So if you go down, this is the A.O. Smith. A.O. Smith is going to code their water heater date into the serial number. It's the first 2 digits, which shows that this is a 2024.
Okay, so they got a new water heater then.
Yeah, 2024 40-gallon electric water heater.
Yeah.
Looking for a couple of things. Right away, number one, it's got a drain pan. Drain pan is not draining to the outside of the property. We're in a garage. We don't want water to get to that wood. I'd probably figure out how to run something to the drain.
Yeah.
But it's a brand new water heater, just recently installed. It does have a drain pan. It's got a TPR release so that hot water.
No. Now, Marcus, I got a question about, I guess, more about the room itself, because you've got the hot water heater here. You've got washing machine and a dryer. You've got a sink. You've got a fridge here and an HVAC unit. I noticed it's not insulated. Is that good or bad as far as like mold, as what I was thinking? Because you got a lot of water, type things here.
Yeah, no, Dan, great question. And this is where I like I said earlier, it would be easy for a home inspector to come in and you could tear this room apart.
Oh, sure.
There's 35 things that I could stand right here and point out.
Right.
But then I would also say this home's been here since 1960 and looking pretty darn good.
Right.
I don't think we've had a mold issue in the past.
Yeah.
Looks like we've got some cedar walls.
Okay.
So the eye test, it really stands up well.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing a whole lot of problems. I would think that if mine in a perfect situation, I might finish this room off a little more, figure out how to get possibly some better ventilation in here.
Okay.
So mold never.
Would you need to actually AC it to get that dehumidification, or could you just use like a fan or some sort?
I don't want to offer a homemade remedy.
Right.
But I would tell you that we've got AC right there.
Right.
And it wouldn't be all that hard to duct this really easy. But I won't offer a homemade remedy.
Yeah, no, I got you.
While I'm here, Dan, I am going to look because seldom are we able to see the cast iron drain so well.
Oh, yeah.
And
there you go.
As we look at the drain, we see it is cast iron, and it certainly is from probably the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
And doesn't appear to leak. It doesn't look like it's leaked in the past. At one point, they had galvanized plumbing in the property. I can see the galvanized there.
Yep.
And they've abandoned that and put PVC and CPVC.
Gotcha.
Plumbing. We've got PVC drain here and CPVC water piping. So
gotcha.
The property has been through a repipe. I like to look online and see if a permit was pulled for that repipe and who did the repipe.
Gotcha.
At this point, after 8 years, know about every reputable company. So I'm looking to see who did their repipe.
Gotcha. All right, great. Well, Marcus, man, hey, thanks a lot for kind of walking us through this property, giving some people, things that they can look for if they're looking to buy a house, or maybe they've lived there for a long time, they're getting ready to sell it, and kind of give them some things that they can look for to do before they sell it. How does everybody get a hold of you?
All right, Dan, you can find us at www.inspectzjax.com.
And we'll get that in the description.
Or give us a call at 904-808-2559. We're on Facebook and Instagram, both at Inspectz Jax.
And then I think when they call on the phone, they're probably going to talk to your wife, right?
They're going to get my office administrator, who doubles as my wife, from 4:30 till the next morning at 8.
I got you.
So we're a family-owned business.
Great.
It's myself that's going to be at your property doing the inspections. We do have a part-time inspector, but there's just the two of us, and we're always together.
Great. Well, always remember, just tell them ISO Jax as kind of the code word, and maybe Marcus will have a little discount or something he can do for all the listeners out there. Marcus, thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. We'll see you guys later.